Hi, I'm gonna try and do a kind of probably not great tutorial on how to make something similar to this. So first things first, you can do this on Ibis and it would probably be easier. However, I use Photopea because I like it. I don't really have much reasoning. Beyond that, but what you want to start out with is you want to, sorry, ignore this, I just need to grab the image that I want. So you can grab, it can already be a transparent PNG also. I use remove background, and I just copy and paste the image I want into there. Sometimes it does a really bad job, sometimes it does a really good job. It totally depends, but when I got that, I put that into whatever editing program you want to use. And the second thing I usually do is I would look up something like Edit Blur Resource or Editing Resources or anything along those lines, just so I can try and find like anything that I'm like, oh, I would like to have that here. So I'll grab one of these, I think, just because I want to also show how you can do GIFs in Photopea. It's admittedly really difficult and really annoying, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually not that bad. But until then, it's horrible. Also, sorry, I will have this open the whole time, just on account of the fact that I don't like I need to know if it's still picking up my audio because my mic is kind of horrible. Sorry, this might take a little bit. I'm trying to quickly find one that I like, but I'm gonna spend time on it. I might as well find one I find pretty. It's just, oh, okay, I think I will go with this one. So then I just save that to my computer, nothing super complicated there. Okay, wait, no. So this little search bar is probably gonna be your best friend, because a lot of the things are very hard to find on their own. So for this, just because, like, again, I'm not an Ibis, and I find it easier to do it this way, I'm gonna do it to, like, 700 for the size, or the height and width for both, just so I have a lot of space to work with. And then I will import my background thing I want to use. Again, this is just an example of how I like to edit them. Of course, you can literally do whatever you want. That's kind of the fun. It's basically just digital collage. So I'm probably gonna have like that probably be about my setup. I'm gonna try not to spend too absurdly long on the stamps, just because if I do all of the ones that I did last time, it will take forever. So I'm just gonna go and like grab a few random flags. I'll just do it for my friend, it's easier. So obviously you can, again, use whatever flags you want. That's kind of the point. Goodness. So I might grab the gender key. I'll just do 3. I think 3 is a reasonable amount. I'll just do... I'll do those 3. I think those would look cute together. So now that I have these, I am gonna do a few extra steps most likely. Maybe. I admittedly am not sure what I'm gonna do. Basically, you can just look up stamp template or stamp border, and you will have so many things to choose from. So many. So I'll just grab this one, because, like, you know, why not? And then basically, what I'm gonna do next is, you can add whatever you want. This is just since I'm gonna be adding, like, a specific. And this is one of the reasons I have so much hatred in my heart toward Photopea, because it's kind of insufferable to use a lot of times. It's very hit or miss if it feels like working nicely, especially when you're trying to do simple things like just grabbing the PNGs, and I know those probably aren't exactly lined up, but that's fine. I mean, you can even, like, put one noticeably to the side like that, so it's less, like, blatantly crooked. And I probably will go over more specifics in terms of, like, how to actually use Photopea, but again, Photopea is only really, like, I need to grab my drawing tablet so I can do this a little easier and not on my phone. But basically, goodness, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, I can totally go. Man, can I? This is the worst tutorial ever. No. But I will probably go over the specific aspects of Photopea, like more specific tutorial type things, to actually properly explain stuff. Because Photopea is definitely very overwhelming by appearances, and even when you know how to do stuff at times, it can still be very tedious. So it's definitely a lot of trial and error, but like anything, as you do it more, you'll get better at it. So you have to do whatever, you just need a base layer to clip the flags onto. I could, again, probably do a way better description of, like, blending modes and clipping masks and stuff, but yeah, so, and then you just kind of put it, like, you can squish it if you want, you can type in transform, and this is, I hate doing this, but it's so annoying, because it just doesn't work that well on Photopea. Photopea, when I get you, but I kind of just have to use this mode, which kind of sucks, but I want all the colors of the flag to be fully visible, so just kind of, but honestly, like, don't worry about that. Like, I don't want you to be worrying about, like, tiny things like that, because it's, like, way easier to manage in the moment. Like, if you've ever used, like, clipping on literally any, you can also duplicate it if you have it smaller like this and just move it to the side, and then merge it down, and duplicate the layer again, and move it to the side, which is also, again, way easier, and then you can just clipping mask it, merge down, and if you ever notice, like, oh, there's a part that I didn't fill in, no worries, and if you aren't, or if you already merged it down, again, that's completely fine if you can just grab the eyedropper tool, and then go back to the brush, and you might need to turn the size down, you know, kind of depends. I personally am not going to put too much extreme effort in it for the sake of keeping it at a digestible time. For flags that have an actual, like, symbol in them or anything like that, it can definitely be a little bit more tedious, which I would recommend putting the duplicated layer that you're moving to make it complete under it, so it's still in the middle. And if none of this makes sense, that's completely reasonable, genuinely. So now that you have all of your flags, you can have the choice. I can totally send these over if you'd like. But there's a lot of overlays for the flags. I'll just get, like, from, like, a certain pack that I use, I'll just use these. And honestly, I have this whole, like, this entire process in Ibis. I have it so managed. It's managed so well, it's not even funny. Like, I have it so down. But honestly, on Photopea, it's just a lot more tricky, especially when you're doing, like, multiple at once, because I'm lazy, and I just don't feel like doing them separately, admittedly. So, like, again, if you're confused about any of, like, the actual... Oh my god. Can I... There we go. If you're confused about any of the actual aspects of Photopea or the editing layers, just go and ask me. I'm a very friendly guy, I swear. But, oh my goodness, I'm doing a very bad job of this. This part is entirely optional. I'm gonna try and speed it up a bit, because I'm probably not gonna edit this because I'm lazy. But, again, this does not have to be a hard process. It can be as tedious and as exhausting and as long as you want, or it can be as short and easy and, like, relaxing as you want. It's completely a person to person how much, like, blood, sweat, and tears you want to put into it. And I'm gonna... okay. I know I literally just said I was gonna try and keep it simple, but I just want to put this, because if I'm already going through the effort of making it, I might as well. And Photopea does have a lot of annoying things with selecting layers, which I'm sure you can tell as I keep selecting, because it doesn't really go off what you're actually clicked on selecting, it goes more off of, like, like, what it looks like you're selecting, and it's very annoying, honestly. I primarily feel like Photopea is only really, like, quote-unquote needed for, like, GIF making and things, but it's just kind of a person-to-person, whatever you like. So, now that you got your flags, let's say, I'll add the GIF afterwards, just for convenience, but let's say you want, what color, come on, let's get a random color. Well, let's see which one to do. Except I'm not gonna just do the first one, because I'm picky. You know what? We'll do this one. This will be our primary color, because why not? So, if you go over here to Gradient Overlay, you don't have to do it like this. Honestly, I admittedly make it, like, way more complicated than it needs to be. You are totally able to just do, a single colored thing, and it makes it much easier. So honestly, in terms of picking how I want stuff to look, again, it just depends. Goodness, that is getting a bit loud. But it really is just trial and error on however you want your thing to turn out. So I like to just do, like, slight color stuff, and honestly, my favorite thing is drop shadows. I love drop shadows. I feel like I usually apply it to the frame of the stamps and then the main thing, and if I want it to pop a bit more, I would do a stroke, which I'll do it for funsies, just as an example. But basically, a stroke is just when there's an outline around the image. And for some transparents, it can, like, just straight up not work, which is super inconvenient, but it's also not that big of a deal. It's very easy to fix, or you can just send it over to me even. And I want to go down here to new folder. You can't do this in IBIS, but it's significantly easier to work with it when it's all grouped together. So that way you don't have to worry about, and okay. So, like I mentioned, when you look up, like you might notice around the edges here, I have, like, some textures. When you look up editing resources, these usually will come up, and they're very easy to find. They also are on Pinterest, for example. But these are basically just overlays, and you don't have to actually use the overlay. Even though that's what they're called. Like, obviously, like, it's just what they're called. And I usually wouldn't merge these down since this is overlaid on a folder, because it just wouldn't be very efficient, you know? You just don't need to. And I'm still gonna try and stay on that color theme that I picked. Although I'm trying to make sure it's not too overwhelming. It really is just kind of layering a bunch of nonsense over it until you're like, yeah, I like how that looks. And that's basically, for, like, the most part, like, that's mostly my process most of the time. Like, I really don't do anything crazy complicated. Like, it is pretty simple in terms of, like, understanding. And if you feel like if you want the flags to stand out a bit more, or you don't want the colors being distorted, you can just move those out of the folder, or you can make a new folder and apply separate things to them. So that way you have a little bit more control over what's specifically going over the flags, so it doesn't get too overwhelmed. So I'm probably gonna start chilling out on adding stuff here, just out of, like, you know, like, again, you can add as much or as little as you want for everything, and it's very, again, like, just do whatever you want forever, honestly. But for the sake of keeping this a reasonable time, so let's say, like, okay, you're done and you really like how it looks. So you can, I'm so used to exporting it as a GIF, ignore that. So then I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna open a new project, while still having, I mean, like, I just closed it, but you wouldn't close it until you're fully done. So I have it, it's all on one layer. So maybe you want the drop shadows to be on everything. So you can do that. But the main thing I want to show you is this is a GIF file. Yeah, see, you know how GIFs work. I don't need to explain that. But what you want to do is to get it here, you have to open it in a new tab area. And you want to right-click this, and you want to click Duplicate Into, and then you need to select the name of your project. And once you click OK, then it will appear right there. And honestly, it's way... Okay, well, you definitely need to make sure that everything is selected when you move it, because it's so easy to just completely, like, and realize you did not have it selected. I feel like this looks a bit funky. Like, I just don't feel like it really, it looks very strange. It doesn't look like it's meant to be there. So I might, like, duplicate this layer and do that, and, like, clipping mask it, and just click multiply, so it looks like it could blend in, or that it was in the original. And again, you can add a stripe to this, so it stands out, or you can add more, or as much, or as little as you want. It's very, so because I have a GIF in here, I am going to export it as a GIF. There we go. And it's a very subtle one, but it's a GIF nonetheless. And, like, once you have it, the way that I store images is I specifically go to Tumblr and I upload them on my Home for Sunflowers, my editing account. And if it's something I want to keep private, I will just click post it privately. And you can still, you have to do this on Safari if you're on mobile, by the way. You have to do it in the browser. But basically, so like, no matter whether you post it privately or publicly, what you want to do is you want to click copy image address. And basically that's what you're going to use when you're importing it into Simply Pro or wherever. So like, I'm just gonna make a new one real quick, just so I can get the example quickly. But, or you could also put it here, or you can change the size of it if you want to do, I can't find that, there we go, hashtag 100 times 100, so it's 100 smaller, or like 350 by 350, because, I don't know, why not? We have fun here. Then it'll look like that, and if you do that, you can actually put text here. So if and this can get very annoying. I'm not gonna go into like the super extremes of like all of that, because I'll be here forever if I start going into how I like to mess with my Simply Pro. But I hope that for anyone watching this tutorial was helpful in one way or another, and if you have questions, DM me.